Hello and welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. We are continuing in our exploration of the 12 signs and wonders, and we're right in the middle of the sign of hail. Last week we set things up with God's announcement, and now we're going to hear the instructions that God gives to Pharaoh. So picking it up in Exodus chapter 9, verse 19. Now send and bring to safety your livestock and all that is yours in the field. Every human and animal who is found in the field and who does not assemble in the house, the hail will fall upon them, and they will die. Those among the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of Yahweh hurried their servants and their livestock to the houses. But those who did not set their heart on the word of Yahweh and left their servants and livestock in the field, Yahweh said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand against the skies, that there may be hail throughout the land of Egypt, on human and animal, and on every green plant of the field in the land of Egypt." So Moses stretched out his staff against the skies, and Yahweh gave thunder and hail. Lightning flashed toward the ground. So Yahweh rained hail on the land of Egypt. So there was hail and lightning flashing here and there in the midst of the exceedingly heavy hail, unlike any throughout the land of Egypt, from the time it became a nation. The hail struck throughout the land of Egypt all who were in the field, human or animal, and every green plant of the field the hail struck, and every tree of the field it shattered. Only in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites were, there was no hail. Okay, a few things to point out in this really dramatic scene. First of all, God has already instructed Pharaoh to send. He's told him to send away the people of Israel into the wilderness to worship him, and Pharaoh has refused repeatedly to send them. So now God gives Pharaoh another instruction to send, and this time it's in his own best interest. It's as if God is saying, you won't send for my benefit. How about you send for your own benefit? It's a test to see if Pharaoh will comply and do what Yahweh is asking. It would be a baby step in the right direction. I did some digging into Egyptian culture because I was really curious about this command to bring the animals into the houses. I wondered, does the average family have a stable? And can the word house mean stable? Or is this like we hear about in first century Palestine, where animals are kept inside the family home? And as best as I can tell from the research that I've done, the average Egyptian family did not have livestock. They did not have stables, and they did not keep animals in their homes. In fact, the average Egyptian rarely ate meat, and that would be the main reason to have livestock in other cultures. So normally they ate vegetables, they made bread, they drank beer, and if they had any other protein, it would be fish that they caught from the Nile, or possibly poultry, that like wild fowl, but not domesticated. So this particular sign actually takes aim especially at the elite. The elite were the ones who had cattle and who ate beef. Pharaoh himself would have had a significant herd of animals from which he could get food, but the average family would not have been directly affected. In past signs, we've noticed that the sign makes a distinction between the Israelites and the Egyptians, and that's true here too. The land of Goshen doesn't get hail, but here we see God drawing a line right through Egyptian society where people could opt in or out. What side of this line are you going to be on? Are you going to take Yahweh's command seriously, his warning seriously, and you're going to bring your household under cover so that no one is harmed? Or are you going to live on the edge and take the risk, hoping that it's not true? It's as if God says, now let's see who among you fears Yahweh. And we're told that a number of them do. They fear Yahweh. They have gotten the picture that this God of the Hebrews is powerful, more powerful than the gods of Egypt, and that he must be taken seriously. And so they bring their servants and their animals inside. In chapter 12, verse 38, when the Israelites leave Egypt, we're told that a mixed multitude goes with them. This is the beginning of the process, I think, of kind of loosening the allegiance of some Egyptians to Pharaoh and to the gods of Egypt and transferring that allegiance to Yahweh. We don't know how many were in this mixed multitude. We don't know which nationalities they represented, but we do know that other non-Israelites left Egypt with the Israelites. So perhaps this is the beginning for some of them in joining the people of God. You might have noticed that in verse 21, I did not finish my sentence, and that's because the sentence is not finished in Hebrew. It says, "But those who did not set their heart on the word of Yahweh and left their servants and livestock in the field." The implication is that those servants and livestock died, and that we're supposed to understand this devastating consequence and fill in the blank for ourselves. They were taking a huge risk in not answering Yahweh, not taking Yahweh's command seriously or warning seriously. I also want to note the ecological impact of the rebellion in this story. So just like in Genesis 3, when Adam and Eve's disregard for God's command and their eating of the tree results in a kind of antagonistic relationship with the land, they're going to, by sweat and toil, bear fruit or be able to harvest fruit. And then in Genesis 4, when Cain kills Abel, and we're told that God tells Cain, "Your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground." There's a sense of, again, alienation between the ground or the impact on the ground of human violence. And then in Genesis 6 through 9, the story of the flood, we see ecological devastation as a result of human rebellion. And here we see lots of destruction. Green plants are destroyed because humans are refusing to listen to Yahweh. One thing we need to address is what is actually coming down from the sky. You might have seen pictures before of balls of fire coming down from the sky rather than just normal frozen ice hail. I think the reason for that is because the word for lightning in Hebrew is fire. And so sometimes fire comes down from the sky. That's a way of talking about lightning. It is strange the way it's expressed in this passage. It's fire within the hail. And I think what's happening here is hail is coming down and there's lightning intermingled with or in the midst of the hail. Most hailstorms in our world are accompanied by lightning. In fact, the presence of ice in the air is one of the prerequisites for the development of lightning. And so that's most likely what we're dealing with here is a lightning storm that has hail. It's also possible that we're meant to see this as a theophany, a divine disclosure of God's presence. And some people see that going on here because of the phrase flashing here and there. The fire is flashing here and there, and that's a phrase that's used in Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4, in the vision that Ezekiel has of God's glorious presence. We see fire again on Mount Sinai as part of that divine theophany. So it's possible that we're meant to see this as a divine disclosure, not just a weather event. 12 times in this story, we get the word land. It's being hammered by the hail, and we have this clear sense that the land, the earth itself, is being destroyed, which is an uncreation that, like we talked about last week. In verse 25, we have the word all 4 times in one verse, and all is kind of a mild word in English. The sound of it is kind of unremarkable, but in Hebrew, the word all is kol. And so we have almost an automatopoeia where it's the word, the repetition of the word all resembles the hailstorm, where we get coal, 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 and it sounds like hail is beating down on the land. So I'll read it. I'll read that section, that verse 25 again, now substituting the Hebrew word coal so you can hear the effect. The hail struck coal the land of Egypt, coal in the field, human or animal, coal herbs of the field the lightning struck, and coal the trees of the field were shattered. You kind of hear the hail falling in that really dramatic verse. So It's going to take us one more week to finish up this sign. It's such a long one. As I said, in cycle 3, all of the signs get longer and more intense. So next week, we'll look at the aftermath and Pharaoh's response to this particular sign before we move on to the sign of the locust. I hope you have a great week.